going on, and good morning from Virginia. It's morning time for me, so good afternoon if you're watching it this afternoon, or good evening if you're watching it in the evening. So let's just cover all three bases. Today I want to talk to you guys about Genesis 37 and the story of Joseph. I think it's a very significant story, and oftentimes when I hear about this story, the things that we kind of take away from this is a gift of dreams, or that God have reveal something to you in your times of trouble, that way, or whatever the case may be. But here I want to talk to you about how the stresses of life, God gives you stresses of life to prosper you, or to give you a life of success. And we see this in the story of Joseph. Joseph was a 17-year-old boy, born of his father in an old age. So his father had a great deal of love for him. And it said that his father loved him the most because he was born to him in his old age. Now, Joseph had other brothers, half-brothers, so to speak, but all the same father. So Joseph had this gift of dreams, and it was very relevant in his early age, and he wanted to share this gift with his brothers. So he went to his brothers and said, "Hey, brothers, I had this dream, that it was three tumbleweeds, and they all bowed before the one tumbleweed." And they got really upset. They said, "Are we supposed to bow before you? Are you going to make us bow before you, dreamer?" And this kind of really stirred their spirit. And as we see, as this goes along, what they were doing was really helping to prepare or propel Joseph into his ministry, into his calling. So later on down the road, his brothers are out tending the lambs or tending the flock, and Joseph's father said, "Well, go fetch your brothers and see how they're doing with the flock." So he goes to go fetch the brothers, as he was instructed, right? So he's being obedient. So he goes to go fetch his brothers. His brothers recognize him from afar. Says, "Oh, here comes that dreamer guy. Here comes the guy with the dreams, the one who says we're going to bow before him, this guy." So they get together to conspire against him. So one brother, we'll call him Jealousy, says, let's kill him. Let's kill the dreamer. I don't really like the guy. Let's kill him. Then the other brother, who is Envy, says, no, don't kill him. Let's throw him in a pit, because if we kill him, then his blood will be on our hands, and then we'll be responsible, and everybody will know. Let's not kill him. The third brother says, we'll call him Greed. Greed says, throw him in a pit. Here comes the Ishmaelites who trade with the Midianites, so they're going to the land of Midian. Let's sell them for 20 pieces of silver. At least we'll get some change for it. And everyone agreed, yes. So here we see Envy is working with Jealousy, which is working with Greed. And they say, well, let's sell him. So the Ishmaelites come, they sell him, they rip his garment. They take off his garment. It was a colorful coat that his father gave him. So they take off his garment, they cut it, and then they kill a lamb. Very interesting. They kill a sheep, and they dip his garments in the blood of the sheep, or in the blood of the lamb. Right? It's very significant how this is playing out. But what they don't understand is that by them dipping his garments in the blood of the lamb, is that the blood was actually protecting Joseph on his upcoming journey. See, here's what happened. Joseph ended up being sold, or being taken to Egypt. Very significant. Joseph could not afford to go to Egypt. Joseph did not know the direction to go to Egypt. So what does that mean? That God ordained this to happen, or allowed this to happen, to get Joseph to a place where he needed him to go. This is very parallel to what God tells Moses. "I will take you to a land that I will show you." So that means that Moses has not yet seen that land. Joseph had not yet seen the land of Egypt, but God had already knew that he needed Joseph in Egypt to save his people. Right? So Joseph gets to Egypt. He meets the king of the emperor Potamus, and Potamus is fond of him. Very fond of him. He sees that the Egyptian king sees that God is with Joseph. So Potamus understands this. He recognizes this. And he sets Joseph in charge of all his house. Everything. He says, you just rule it. Just do what you need to do. But here comes Potiphar's wife, who tries to commit adultery, to say the least. She wanted to sleep with Joseph, and Joseph, with all his integrity, by the Spirit of God, said no. He said, I'm a guest here. Potiphar has set me in charge. He trusts me. I won't do it. So she conspires against him to get him thrown in jail. Here we go again. God uses the gifts that he's given Joseph in jail to bring him out. So there's 2 men in jail. He interprets 2 of their dreams, which then a third dream comes from Potiphar, who his magicians can't interpret the dream, so he seeks. So the one guy that he revealed a dream to goes out and says, oh, I know this guy in jail. His name is Joseph. He interprets dreams and they're accurate. You should probably go talk to him. And Potiphar is like, Joseph, the Joseph that I put in jail for trying to sleep with my... He tells his people, go fetch him. I want to see what he has to say, if he can really interpret dreams. But Potiphar knows in the back of his mind that the Spirit of God is with Joseph, right? So he goes and gets Joseph. Joseph interprets his dream and it's accurate, so he gives him the interpretation of 7 years famine, 7 years, wealthy. And he says, well, do what you need to do to make sure that we don't suffer. So here again, Joseph is taken from a high point to a low point, back to an even higher point where he's in charge of all the land of Egypt, gathering up all the barley, all the rice, everything that these people need in order to survive. And it works out in his favor. Yes. So what happens is that his brothers, his family is they're experiencing a famine, so they have to come to Egypt to get food. So when they come to Egypt and they see this man who's in charge of everything, they don't recognize him. They don't recognize who this person is until Joseph reveals himself. I find it interesting that although people may conspire you, they may envy you, they may be jealous of you, they may conspire to commit murder against you, they may lie on you, God has taken all of these things, because it not only stressed Joseph out physically because he had to endure a long trip, but could you imagine the stress that he was going through spiritually, the stress that he was going through mentally, emotionally? Like, what about his health? He probably, stressed out his health. Like, could you imagine going from this land as a slave and being taken to another land? You're probably you're stressing out mentally because you have no idea what these people have intended for you. Are they going to kill you? Are they going to sacrifice you to their God? Or are they going to make you a slave? Are you going to have to build something? Are you going to be, subdued to hard labor? Joseph had no idea. So you can only imagine the stress. Now, a lot of times we ask ourselves, like, why am I being stressed out emotionally? Why am I being stressed out mentally? Like, this weight is too much for me to carry. I don't really know what to do. I'm stressed out here. I'm stressed out here. My finances are stressed. My family is stressing me out. My work is stressing me out. And so you take all this physical stress, and now you have all this mental stress, and this emotional stress, and spiritual stress, not realizing that stress is there to prepare you for what God is going to make you prosperous in. See, all that stress is there just to build you up. It's just like when you're lifting weights. You have to put stress on the muscles to break them down, or, to tear them a little bit so you can repair them, so you can come back stronger. I mean, you may have to get a little bit of protein in you, but your physical stress you have to endure some stress in order to be taken out of something. It's just like a diamond. A diamond in the rough, or a diamond in the earth's crust, is really a piece of coal before it starts out. Yeah. So the earth's crust is always moving. So this diamond is always being rubbed the wrong way. Somebody's getting up underneath them, or somebody's, coming down over them, or, bumping up against them, or doing, just kind of doing all type of stuff to kind of like get up underneath their skin. But here it is, that pressure is compressing you. And then some of the pieces of that coal that's not going to turn into a diamond starts falling off. So you start getting some bad stuff off of you. And then this diamond, this piece of coal compresses. And after years, it turns into a diamond. So stress times time equals prosperity. And we see that in First Peter, and where it says that that God in all His kindness allowed you to share, called you to share in His eternal glory, so that after you have suffered a little while, after you have been stressed out just a little while, He will restore you, He will support you, and He will strengthen you, and He will place you on a firm foundation. He said, I got to let you struggle a little bit. I got to let you get stressed out a little bit so I can come in and restore you. So I can come in and strengthen you. So I can come in and take you off sand and put you on a firm foundation. So I can take you out of the valley and put you on top of the mountain. So I can take you out of the hut and put you in the kingdom. All this stress that Joseph endured, to say the least, was there to make his life prosperous. We have to understand that stress is not bad. Not all stress is bad. But sometimes we need stress in order to propel us into our calling and the office that God has ordained for us. See, everything that we go through is there to prepare us. Everything. For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. So everything that God is allowing you to experience is there to make your life prosperous. Not meaning your life is going to be filled with money or it's going to be filled with material things, but is that your life will bear fruit. And this is what Joseph's life did. Not only was he able to bear fruit for his family, but he was able to bear fruit or to support or to, help out or to aid several hundred families in Egypt and those who came from far east and the far west to come and seek his advice. My closing statement is, when we endure stress, we know that we are about to be built up stronger than what we were before. Stress is not a bad thing. Sometimes we have to let our spiritual muscles endure some stress so we can become stronger in the spirit. Amen.